Alright, we'll do a little test on the intro. Welcome to... Oh my god, that's funny. Good morning and welcome to the first podcast of Post-Production Podcast. I am Mr. Drew and my co-host Adam is here with me.
Yes, hello.
Welcome. And this is our new show, and we're going to talk about a variety of different things. Mainly being probably movies and movie reviews, trailers, TV, Netflix, streaming shows, things like that. Mm-hmm. But also delving into probably video games and other kind of recreational things like that. Really wanted to start this off on a positive. You know, this is going to be our first podcast, but unfortunately, now we are based out of Las Vegas.
Yes.
Unfortunately, this week, it started on a very tragic note. It's been a very emotional week for everybody. As most of you probably know that are listening, just this past Sunday on October 1st, we had a mass shooting situation on the Strip where 58 people lost their lives and over 520 people were injured in one way or another. And it's just been one of those life-changing, I think, moments for a lot of people here in the city and across kind of the states.
Across the world, too.
Yeah, true, across the world. But our thoughts and our prayers and our best wishes go out to those families that this has affected, and we hope that everyone can just kind of move forward and see a little bit of positive out of this when it's all over.
Yes. Anyway,
so moving on. All right, so welcome to the podcast. So last week, Adam and I, we went and we saw, we saw individually the first Blade Runner movie. So we saw the final cut, which was the 2007 release of Blade Runner. It was Adam's first time with the movie, and I think we'll probably include that podcast. It's a little bit of a rough cut, but it was fun to talk about.
Yeah, we'll do a little bonus episode.
A little bonus episode for that. And that got us prepared for this week, which was Blade Runner 2049. Now, we both saw it at the same time. We saw it in IMAX, which I highly recommend for this movie.
I think this is the best, probably the only way I want to see it, to be honest. IMAX all the way. The visuals, the sound. I think the sound alone, the sound design in this movie, I mean, it's worth that IMAX price.
It's definitely worth it. I mean, it's a little bit overbearing. It was just crushing.
You will feel
crushing.
You'll feel it in your bones, kind of thing.
I don't even know if the experience is going to be totally different.
Yeah.
6 months from now, if you buy the DVD and you watch it at home, you're going to be like, it's not the same thing.
I completely agree with that. Yeah.
All right. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of that, wow. Nitty-gritty. Before we sink our teeth into the meat of that movie, I guess that's what I was going to try to say. We saw a couple trailers. A couple that I don't really care about, but a big one, the Annihilation trailer from the writer and director of
Ex Machina.
Yep. Starring Natalie Portman,
Oscar Isaac,
and
a lot of people are in there.
It looks like it's a great cast, and the opening trailer and the premise of it looks phenomenal.
Yeah, because we
really
saw
intrigued.
We saw it. I think the trailer released last week or 2 weeks ago, but seeing it in front of Blade Runner 2049 was very fitting. You know, kind of got you into the mood of that sci-fi kind of crazy world. But I mean, you and I both love Ex Machina, so this trailer just gets us so hyped.
Yeah.
And there's really nothing. There's no story really in the trailer. You
have no idea what's happening.
Idea, and then you just see a lot of people just crying and staring off into space and.
I mean, the small little synopsis that I've gotten from the trailer is that there's some kind of thing of attacking the world, and it looks like it's turning everybody into trees.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a nature show. Cool, go Gaia. Um, so now, the other one that we saw was, for me, was surprising, was the trailer for Pacific Rim 2.
Yeah, so that one released actually the same day, so on Friday. They went to New York Comic Con that's going on, and they released it there. So I had actually watched it prior to the movies.
Oh, okay.
I had seen it.
Nice.
Yeah, so I had seen it before, and so I was really surprised to see it like in the theaters already, considering it had just come out. But I'm curious because of course it's John Boyega. And yeah, okay. I think he's really good. I love him as Finn, and I'm excited whenever I get to see him in anything else. And there's been a lot of speculation about this movie and a lot of like curiosity surrounding this movie. A lot of people love the first Pacific Rim. I don't know how we haven't even discussed the first Pacific Rim because I've never seen it because I'm an uncultured young little kid.
I don't think it's anything to do with age, but
because it actually didn't come out too. What was that like?
I think the original came out, I want to say like 2008,
something like that.
I may be wrong.
Of course, directed by Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, 2013 was the first one.
It's funny because the trailer it's set so far ahead of I believe of the first one, but it only came out like 4 years ago.
Yeah, nobody really knew, and I think we'll do a podcast closer to the release of this in 2018. But nobody really knew. Watching the first one, you had like this conflict, you had this battle, and they ended it in a way where they could have left it or they could have continued on with it. They kind of had that option. So nobody knew if are they going to do another one? Are they not going to do another one?
Yeah,
because it had some pretty decent effect on audiences. Some people hated it, some people loved it. It's a big giant robot movie.
Yeah.
So some people don't really care for the whole that whole genre, but it has a definite cult following. It really has a lot of people that are into it. But I'm excited for the second one.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks decent.
When I heard that they were going to make a second one, I was kind of like, I don't know. But honestly, the guy that's in it, John Boyega,
yeah.
Right?
Who you love?
He looks. He looks like he's going to do great in this movie.
Yeah.
I've only seen him in Star Wars, The Force Awakens. He didn't really move me very much with that. I thought he seemed a little bit out of place in that movie, but I think he looks really good in this one. So
yeah, he does.
We'll see how this one kind of pans out.
Yeah.
And then speaking of Star Wars, and it looks like we're gonna have some conjecture. There's some whispers going around this upcoming Monday Night Football. So that's gonna be October 9th.
Yeah,
there's gonna be a new Star Wars 8 trailer. Goodness.
Hopefully. And I think the original speculation came after Mark Hamill tweeted to a fan. Someone was like, "Hey, when can we get our next look at Episode 8?" And he was like, just watch Monday Night Football on October 9th for no particular reason. Just really cryptic in that way. And that tweet actually got taken down. It got deleted. So that led people to believe that something is coming. And that's exactly what they did when The Force Awakens came out. When they released that final trailer, it was Monday Night Football. I remember that. So I think that's what they're going to do here. And everything kind of looks like it's going that way. So
I hope they don't pause it or they kind of redirect it because Mark tweeted that. I hope they can, if they were going to...
I think they'll keep it on track.
They keep it on track?
Yeah, I think they will. I think too many things go into it,
yeah.
And I think they have a plan that works for them. And yeah, October 9th seems like a good... I mean, it's still, 2 months out?
Yeah, but I mean, there's not. I mean, people don't have enough to sink their teeth into, and they're going barmy.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what's going to go on. So
Exactly.
they need some more snippets to kind of.
What's funny is
get the creative gossip going.
What's funny is, yeah, we saw the episode 8 teaser trailer, that the only one that they've released so far. We saw that in front of Blade Runner when we went to go see it last night, and I love that trailer. But all I could think about was, this released in May, and we haven't had anything since.
Not a peep.
Yeah, exactly. So I need to see something else. I think because it's 2 months out, we really need to start getting excited for this movie. So,
I mean, come on, Disney, throw us a bone.
Yeah, so
give me a Scooby snack or something.
Yeah. So yeah, October 9th, and hopefully we'll get that trailer.
I guess we'll be watching Monday Night Football then.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so all right, let's get into it. Oh, Blade Runner 2049.
Blade Runner 2049.
I mean, my initial impressions, I loved it. I absolutely, hands down, loved it from start to finish.
Yes.
I personally feel, it's got to win Oscars in a couple of different categories.
Yes,
hands down.
Those were my first impressions. It's like, if this is going to get Oscar attention, and I know that the Oscars, the Academy doesn't like. I don't know how they really feel about sci-fi and all that, but this is something that breaks that. This is something that breaks the genre. And just like last year with Arrival, Arrival, to a lot of people who may have seen the trailer, it's an alien movie, whatever, but it's way more than that. It's a sci-fi movie, but it's...
Well, it's an alien story, but it's also a human story.
Well, yeah.
Because it has to deal with a bunch of different things that are going on in conflicts and in present day,
But I think that based on last year's Oscar buzz with Arrival and Denis Villeneuve, who of course directed that, I think he's going to have a really good chance at winning some big awards.
Yeah.
Of course, sound design has to be one. I think Blade Runner 2049 is going to win that, hands down.
Sound, it's going to win. Score, it's going to win. Cinematography,
okay,
it's gonna just destroy anything out there.
I think I can honestly say that this movie is probably the most beautiful movie I've ever seen. The cinematography in this movie, every single shot was,
it speaks volumes.
Yes, each frame is an art piece. I think, Roger Deakins is the cinematographer. He just ran with it. His vision, along with Denis Villeneuve's and all of the production designers and all of that, it worked on so many levels.
The catch that got me the most, besides it, it's just an absolutely stunning movie to watch and to experience with the visuals and the sound. But given the fact that we just watched the original, you could play these two movies back to back, and you would not perceivably see that this is a 35-year difference in filmmaking. You would just be like, there's a little bit of change here, but it's the exact same taste, feel, smell, the grit. The entire world works, and it completely seamlessly works going off the original Blade Runner. And I thought they did a fantastic job.
Yes, me too. And this is, of course, 30 years. It takes place 30 years after the original Blade Runner. And, there are some advancements. There are some differences, some clear differences. Just like how technology would kind of... And technology and stylistically how things would change over 30 years. But there's still, the cars, the flying cars, and a lot of the technology, it seems like an appropriate kind of progression from the first one.
It's not so stark that you would be like, oh yeah, this is totally
Yeah.
30 years later, it's like, wow,
Yeah.
okay, a little bit of a jump, but not.
Not too
It
far.
just seamlessly flows. Yeah.
Yeah.
Story and plot.
So okay.
So real quick. We're gonna go broad strokes here,
Yeah.
and then maybe a little bit later we'll go into spoilers.
Yeah. So we'll time code it. I think first we'll kind of get into the brief what we can say without spoiling anything, because
it's really hard.
Yeah, I mean the story and this was my speculation kind of before, was that the story in the trailers that we got, I felt like that was kind of a misdirect, and that was kind of a, you didn't really know what was going on. They didn't
give not allude at all to what you actually was. What the movie is about.
But that being said, we're not going to go into it just yet. But basically, you have Agent K, played by Ryan Gosling. Basically, he's on a mission, and that mission leads him to Deckard, which is, of course, Harrison Ford's character. And that's basically it for non-spoilers.
Exciting movie, folks. Yeah. Woo, go. Yeah. Well, so for me, we can't go into the plot, but as far as a movie and watching the movie, I have two feelings on it.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. I loved it.
Yes.
I was completely glued to that screen. And it was 2 hours and 44 minutes, I think, long. It was a long movie. For me, it didn't feel like it was a long movie.
Yeah.
Now, I hold some kind of reservations, because I think people who have not seen the first movie are not invested in kind of like how the story unfolds and how this Blade Runner kind of saga continues. I don't know if it's going to hold them in the same thrall.
So my thoughts on it are, it's a long movie, and I appreciated every minute of it. I thought it was, I mean, of course, stunning to look at, and amazing to experience. But I totally get that, and I think that people who are not invested in these characters, in the story, they'll go into this and they'll think action movie with Ryan Gosling and Harrison Ford, and it's not that at all.
No.
It's a psychological kind of this is another thinker, this is, and in that way it's a lot like the original Blade Runner.
Exactly.
Whereas, it's not your action movie. It's something more than that, and it's a story where you really need to invest some thought into it.
Yeah. This is definitely not a movie where dialogue is just spewed out. It has no context. I mean, there's images that have no meaning. Every frame of this movie and every line of dialogue means something specific.
Yes.
And I think for a lot of people, they're not gonna. It's just not a click. It's not gonna click for them.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to reflect on their opening weekend. Because a lot of people, they don't know. They don't know anything about the original Blade Runner. They might just look at oh wow, 2 hours and 44. I don't know what this is about. They might get some reviews from people who haven't seen the original and just kind of don't know what they're looking at.
Yeah.
But for those of you that have seen the original or really appreciate cinematography and score and how everything is put together in an artistic sense, they're going to love it. They're absolutely going to love it.
Yeah, for those people who are looking for a feel-good blockbuster kind of movie, this is not where they're going to go. And they're going to, I think those people, they're going to go into this movie thinking that they're going to come out super disappointed. But if you go in there knowing that this is a work of art on so many levels.
It's a masterpiece,
yes.
Really. I have to agree with we heard a couple people say,
yeah.
That it is an absolute masterpiece.
Yes, yeah. From that perspective, I think, it's a masterpiece, but I think that general audiences will think something else. Will kind of give it a bad rap because it's not what they expected. But it truly is like unlike any movie that we've seen for a long time. You know, I'd compare it to the original Blade Runner, how that kind of shook the world of movies and it inspired so many things. This follows that really well.
I really got to give it out to Dennis Villanueva.
It's Denis Villeneuve.
Denis
believe
Villeneuve.
It's French.
Wow. Fail.
Close.
Denis Villeneuve. Kudos to him. Amazing job. Is there anything more that you want to say before we get into the meat of?
Yes.
We got to go complete spoiler ham here. You know.
I think that really covers it because I really just want to talk about spoilers.
I know. I'm chomping at the bit here.
Yeah.
Okay, so spoilers. Okay.
So right off the bat, we get information that Ryan Gosling's character is a replicant. He is not human.
He's not human.
And that was not, that kind of crossed my mind. But I thought because the trailers kind of say, they kind of allude to a mystery surrounding his character.
Yeah.
And there is a little mystery surrounding his character, but
we all assumed. I think we all assumed that he was just going to be
just a guy.
Just a guy.
Because he's
just
a Blade Runner.
Guy. Yeah, because he's a cop. He's a Blade Runner.
And, there were no Blade Runners who were replicants back in the day.
So, here's where we get into the chunky, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we got Blade Runner 2049. Starts off with Ryan Gosling. He's a Blade Runner, and he's a replicant.
He's a Skinner.
And then it goes into, okay, so now the big question was
Deckard,
right? Ever a replicant? In the same context.
Mm-hmm.
A replicant hunting replicants.
Yes.
Which we
didn't
get an answer to, which is so frustrating. And I don't know how many people picked it up, but at one point in the movie, Ryan Gosling, he goes and he visits. I'm assuming it was a retirement home because Gaff, from the original, played by Edward James Olmos, is sitting there in his old man chair, in his old retired chair, looking all old and grumpy and fantastic as Edward James Olmos. But he says a couple of just key phrases.
Yeah.
That, Deckard was not long for this world. What? What do you mean?
What do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that?
Gaff,
just
please.
Something I saw in his eye. Are you kidding me? What do you mean? What did you see in his eye? Did you see the serial number in his eye because you knew? Because you know
Did you
that
see
he's
his
a
glowing
replicant?
eyes? Like what is this?
Good.
Freaking Gaff.
Gaff. Well, Gaff. He does the same thing in both movies. I think he has a secret sadistic chuckle about this. He's like, "Am I going to be in this new one?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll put you in there." And then he reads the script and he reads the scene and he goes, "Yeah, buddy."
And you know what? Like that's his character is really just to tease us. He's he brings up some very important questions, but questions we never really get answers to. And so the fact that they put him in just for that, just to give us that vagueness that we know from Gaff, I thought that was really good.
I could have just strangled him.
I know, right?
But this leads into something else, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
We'll get to. Because that kind of goes along another plot. But, so, we got Gosling, and right away, we know he's a replicant because he's getting into a fight, and he's fighting with...
Dave Bautista.
Dave Bautista.
So his
who's
character...
Sapper Morton.
Yes.
And highly recommend watching the prequel shorts on YouTube or whatever streaming or wherever you can find it posted, because it gives you a little bit of an insight into Dave Bautista's character and what he's going into. But he, on his demise gives us a few key phrases, which becomes completely relevant later.
Mm-hmm.
Layer upon layer upon layer upon agonizing layer.
Yeah, that first scene really set the stage for the movie. I think it was done really well. And Ryan Gosling, and all I can think about in that fight scene between both of them is like, this is very similar to the original Blade Runner, because Harrison Ford gets his ass kicked, multiple times in that movie.
Throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Which Gosling also gets his ass kicked continuously throughout this movie.
See, and that's that's what I love. I love about both these movies is that there's some real hits, there's some real blood, there's and yeah, I mean it's brutal. He puts him through a wall, but before that he hits him against the wall like 10 times, and I'm just like, how is Ryan Gosling in one piece right now? And then at the end of the fight, Dave Bautista kind of says, "So how does it feel killing your own kind?" And I'm just like, no way, like that is crazy, because that's a question in the original Blade Runner. Oh, if Deckard's a replicant, then he's killing his own kind, and that's crazy, and blah blah blah. But yeah, it's like, no, he was actually made for this specific reason. Ryan Gosling's character,
which comes into question still in the movie. Oh, so right off the bat, we have Ryan Gosling, and okay, he's a replicant, and you're just going, okay, wait, this is going sideways. I'm not really sure what I'm expecting here. And then we come to find out the next big clue, the next big, kind of reveal is that Rachel, from the first one, is discovered buried in a box, all bones, and upon that discovery, that she gave birth to a replicant baby.
Yes.
Which I didn't see coming.
No. No, not at all.
Did not. I had a kind of a different idea on what this movie was going to be about, and I was just sitting there going, "Oh, okay."
Yes, and that's, I think that really threw me for a loop as well, because again, going back to the prequel kind of shorts, we have the Blackout short, we have Dave Bautista's, and then one with Jared Leto's character, and I think even those kind of give you a different story of what, like, a different idea of what this movie's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's wondering, and everyone wants to know, about this baby, and that's the basis of the story. Is everyone wants to know what happens to the baby. That's Ryan Gosling's assignment, from his boss to locate the baby. That's something that the Wallace Corporation wants to know as well. And because of the blackout, they have no idea, where
all the records are gone, everything's screwed up.
Yeah.
But I mean, he has to locate the baby, but also erase all existence of the baby.
Yeah.
Because of the whole underlying, if this gets out, if people find out that replicants can have babies and can reproduce,
then
everything's done.
Yeah.
Everything's just going to go to crap.
Yeah, I mean, because in this 30 years plus, there's been this kind of struggle between, and this sort of like racism and prejudice.
Extreme, racism and prejudice.
Between humans, and then, them treating replicants like shit. If that got out, it would, like she said, it would break the world. Like, absolutely.
I gotta give it up to, let me find her name here, and I'm probably gonna just destroy this name. Ana de Armas. So she plays Joy, who is Agent K's companion, girlfriend. So she's a computer-generated image, but she is as lifelike as you could possibly kind of get to a companion that's kind of sharing your space and living at home with you. Even to an interesting, I thought, perspective of going to the point later on where she actually invites another woman into the apartment because she she has feelings for Agent K.
Yeah.
You know, but she wants to be with him as much as possible. She invites another girl to the room, to the apartment, and then sort of kind of what did she say? She sinks, like she kind of like she kind of overlaps.
Yeah,
you know, she she superimposes herself on top of this girl.
So her projection goes, sinks up into, and it's the same position as the other girl. We had to have another weird sex scene. I think that's a tradition in Blade Runner. There needs to be a weird sex scene.
The first one was awkward and weird, and you're going, wait a minute. And then even in this one, you're just kind of going, wait now. So this is, I mean, I get it. I get it. But then it's just kind of like, I don't get it. You know?
So that scene, if I had to just say something, that scene, I think it went on maybe a little too long, because I figured, at one point I was like, are we just going to watch this whole thing? This whole thing play out? Yeah. Because, I think if you kind of, you have them sync up, whatever, I don't know. I mean, I thought for a second, I was like, yeah, maybe this is going along too long, but I think it ended, in the right spot.
Right.
And then we could just move on. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix,
no.
where he falls in love with his AI. But there's a scene in that movie that is almost just like this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's very interesting, where the AI can't satisfy the guy in a sexual way, so they hire a girl to do that, and it's just awkward. It's just weird. And the guy's like, no, I mean, I don't want to do this, but I kind of do.
Yeah. I mean, in this one, Ryan Gosling was a little hesitant, but then he was kind of like, okay.
It's better than Deckard forcing himself.
Yeah, I know. At least he didn't, just kind of,
yeah.
Do this, do that. Oh yeah, But that was awkward. But going back to my original thought here, I thought she was amazing in this. Definitely breakout character type performance.
Yeah,
she
I loved her.
Fantastic. Her interactions and just kind of the things that she did were just kind of, it gave it, I think, in a world that seems cold and bitter and dark and mechanical, she gave it this human touch. And being an AI image, you're going, the most human person in this movie is the AI projection.
Yeah. It definitely gives a human relationship and a human touch to Ryan Gosling's character as well. And it's so crazy, the interactions. He gives him gives her the gift of this device, which she can project anywhere. She doesn't have to be at home, so it's like a kind of a portable kind of thing,
like a mobile projector.
Yeah, exactly. And so that first scene, they go out in the rain, and then he gets called in, and it's crazy because they have this super amazing human. Interaction right there, and then she freezes, he gets the call, he has to go, and he just kind of turns her off, and you're just like, I totally forgot she's not human.
Yeah. And it almost seems cold.
Yeah. Now it seems like, man,
you just turned her off, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
At
least say goodbye. And I'd be like,
absolutely.
I'll be back later. We'll continue this whole rain thing. All right.
Yeah.
Wink.
Which, I mean, it's always raining, so that wouldn't be it. So his mission. So the actual, how the police system works now, where they have replicants working as Blade Runners, and I'm not sure if I got an idea of, was he the only replicant? Because I feel like everyone else was human.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely singled out in this, as far as in that whole precinct and everything else, and she, even his boss, played
Robin Wright,
Lieutenant Joshi, Joshi. And she even kind of hinted at the fact that he had predecessors, but the way she made it sound like there's only like one at a time, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I think
the way it brings you into this movie, because your opening scene, you've got a fight scene with David Bautista's character, and then that's over. He finds out some clues, and then he goes back to the precinct, and immediately you get overwhelmed, I think, with all of this visual and audio input, just as he would, because he's sitting in this room and he's getting reevaluated.
Yeah. I love that part.
As a replicant, to see if he has strayed from his baseline programming.
Yeah, they call it baseline. So this test is ultimately, has anything happened on your mission where, have you discovered anything? Is there any underlying questions, based on your humanity or whatever? They want to make sure you're still a replicant and you're still willing to do your job, and that's the only thing you're really worried about. And yeah, that scene, that test, you have the audio just like ripping through your ears, and you're just kind of like, what's going on? Yeah, I think it really gave you a sense of, this is really intense. Yeah, I mean, I love that part, and I thought that was a really interesting kind of way to go about it.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is that you get this shock and awe input of that scene. Mm-hmm. You don't really know what to make of it, but then later on, it totally makes sense because some other things happen. He has to go through it again, and you see where those micro expressions and those slight hesitations in this test tell them immediately that something's wrong, that something's different. But you don't really understand in the beginning. You're just like, what was that? Like, that, just stop. Just ouch, that hurts. I don't know what to think of whether or not it was true or not on his storyline and how it progressed into him believing that he's this child.
Well, okay, so
or am I I'm
no,
skipping.
No, let's get into it. Let's get into it because I forget the first time that we see that scene, and of course, again, it's very reminiscent of the first one where, in the original Blade Runner, you kind of see him daydreaming and the whole unicorn scene.
Right. You get a flashback.
You get a little flashback.
Or
I forget.
Memory.
Yeah. I forget exactly where it is in this movie, but it was right after something. I forget.
Well, the very first flashback that we get, he goes back to the scene where he has the encounter with Dave Bautista, and there's a tree there, and he sees at the base of the tree there's a carving of 6/10/21, yes. Which is a birth date. Well, it's a date.
It's a date, and you don't know if it's a birthday or a death date.
It immediately clicks in his mind, and you get a flash of a small snippet of him holding this little wooden horse.
Yes, that's
which you're kind of like, okay, I don't really know what that is. But then that kind of evolves into this full-blown memory that he explains later, where he's a child. He's being chased by other children because they want this toy horse, but this is the only personal object he has.
Yeah.
So he ends up hiding it away, but inscribed on the bottom of this horse are the same digits, 6/10/21. So which kind of gives you a little bit of a kind of understanding of, okay, so this is relevant. We don't know exactly what it is, but
there has to be some kind of
correlation.
Yeah. So yeah, in that scene, Robin Wright's character, his chief or whatever, asks him about that memory. Just ask him, hey, tell me a story. Tell me something about your childhood. And and I really like the lines like, I find it odd talking about my childhood considering I was never a child, but okay. And he kind of goes into that memory, and of course it plays. And following that, he has to go to an orphanage Well, am I getting ahead of myself?
No, the story evolves out. He runs out of leads, but then he's like, okay, well, he goes to the main archive at
What's his name?
the old
Wallace.
At the Wallace, yeah,
Yeah.
The Wallace
Corp.
So of course, I mean, all the records being pretty much wiped out from the blackout. There's not much there. But the interesting thing is you come to find out, and this is where one of the other main antagonists, the character Love, Sylvia, I want to say Hoax is her last name. Hopefully I'm not butchering that.
Mm-hmm.
She comes into play, and she's immediately alerted to this old archive of some old replicant file, and you're going, okay, there's obviously something going on here.
Yeah.
And she personally intercedes on Wallace's behalf to take him into, the vault room, this old vault room, which has been opened up, and they pulled out a snippet of file of audio from the original Blade Runner of Decker doing the replicant test, this kind of like lie detector test of Rachel, who
is a replicant,
but doesn't know it at that time.
Yeah,
it just gets convoluted like that. But he really doesn't kind of get any information. It's kind of just basically a dead end.
Yeah.
But then you're kind of going, okay, now what is going on with her? And now you get introduced to Wallace by Jay Leto.
Yeah.
Who I thought did a fantastic job.
So for me, he really didn't have much to do.
No.
I think what he had, he did well. But really, there wasn't too much to it. Okay, speaking for myself on my behalf, coming into this movie, you think he's going to be this big bad, and he is menacing, and he is kind of sinister, but he's not the main. I don't know if he is the main. Like, he's kind of the guy behind the scenes.
Well, he's the main
antagonist.
Yeah, I can't say that. He's the main bad guy. There we go.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is, and what I love about the way they did this movie, they introduce him, you know who he is, but he plays his role exactly the way he plays his role. He is the major head of this massive corporation. He has probably 1,000 things to do.
Yeah.
And he has people that he trusts. He has his lieutenant, Love, who's taking care of this thing for him. So it actually, for me, it makes sense that you don't see so much of him, because there's no reason for him to be in every scene of every bad thing decision that's going to go on. So I was kind of like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I like it. He shows up when he needs to show up.
Yeah.
And then
he's the emperor too. Yeah. So
it was a little bit of a confusing scene, that he had with the newborn replicant, and
I think that scene, I could kind of feel, you know how you can kind of feel, the theater, the vibe. I feel like maybe we had lost some people. Like, I feel like, or at least people and other, whenever they watch this, that scene, people will probably go, yeah, this is weird. Like, this is an odd movie. So that one scene is probably, his longest scene, but it really gets you into his character. I think does a good job of doing that.
For me, it kind of, I understand the meaning of the scene, and the point of the scene, but it like, did you really need to bring down a brand new replicant, stand her up? Like, basically, she gets birthed. Like, she just came out of whatever goo in plastic bag Ziploc that she got popped out of, right? She just came out of the freezer sort of thing. She's got goo all over her. She's taking her first breaths, he stands her up and he's checking her out. And then he just slices her belly open.
Yeah.
To kind of prove the point that he wants the technology to reproduce his replicants.
Yeah.
And slicing her belly open in kind of this gesture of, this is a hollow space. It's a wasted space for me. It's inefficient. It's pissing me off. I need this technology. I get it. But it's like,
couldn't you just say that?
Could you just say that? Why did you need to...
Like that,
and if you're so concerned about the numbers of replicants that you can't produce, Why did you just throw that one away?
Well, he wants to make millions, right? He wants, and he was so upset that, and this is like a revolutionary thing. He brought them to 9 off-world planets, right?
9 new worlds.
Yeah, 9 new worlds. But even he is like, that's not enough.
Not enough. No. He wants billions and trillions of it. He wants a brand new era. He wants an army. He wants this massive thing. And to what end? We don't really kind of get. We don't get the end goal for him. It's just this.
He just wants
mad scheme. He just wants all the power. But okay.
And I think the most sinister thing about him is that he creates all of this life, but to him, it's disposable, and you really see that when he slices her.
Yeah.
He'll create all of this, and he's a genius and whatnot, but he does not care about these replicants. As we know, I think replicants are, and they say it plenty of times, at times more human than human, and I think that's a disconnect for him, and that's why he's so menacing.
Yeah, that's good. That's good view. Now continuing on, we've got Ryan Gosling, and he travels out to this orphanage area where supposedly he came from.
Yeah, so
because he's got his memories from the same place.
Yeah, and I don't know if does he even know that before he goes there. I don't think he does.
I don't think he knows it. Because he seemed shocked as he gets into this structure when he's following
Lenny James.
Lenny James,
who we know as Morgan from The Walking Dead.
He's following him down to his office where he keeps his records and stuff, and then he kind of starts going, "Okay, I know this place."
Yeah, I don't think he knew. I think
this is weird. Yeah.
What led him there was after seeing the transcription, the carving on the tree, and him knowing, that's the same numbers that are on his little wooden horse. From there, he has to go and get some records. He searches that date specifically for any birth dates, and because there's nothing in the digital archive, he has to look at hard prints of records, and so he's just going through it, and he finds 2 identical matches. So there's 1 female, 1 male, and that leads him to the orphanage.
Right.
So from there, so he leads him to his office, to his records, and we find out there's some pages missing in the records, right? So he's not really that much help. Essentially, he kind of is another dead end, really. And so Ryan Gosling's character, he starts recognizing this place, so he goes into the furnaces to see if
this
his
memory is actually true.
Yeah, because he mentions that it's an implanted memory, so he doesn't know if it's true or not. And so he goes and, just out of curiosity, reaches in and he finds that wooden horse. And that scene for me was it's really emotional. There's a lot of things going on. The score really climbs at that moment, and I'm just going my mind's blowing at that moment.
I have to admit, I mean, that was a very powerful scene.
Yeah.
But in my own just sadistic, devilish way, because we're sitting in an IMAX theater, and at that moment, everyone's on the edge of their seat. They don't know what he's gonna find. He's reaching into this weird place. There's this tensity in the theater, and at that moment, I had this epiphany, and I'm like, if I just fucking scream out really loud right now, the entire theater is going to lose their shit. So, and I was like, yeah, I almost did it, but okay, no.
You just wanted to ruin it.
I was gonna ruin the whole thing, but
I would have been mad.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody would have been mad, but I was like, this is so perfect.
Only you.
So perfect.
Only you would think of that.
Yeah, only that would come into my mind.
Yeah, so that scene was amazing to me, and for a split second, I was like, is he not gonna find it, or is he gonna find something else? And Denis Villeneuve is so good at suspense because that shot of him reaching in, and you kind of see it, and that took forever, but we got there. But that suspense leading up to it with the score, it was so well crafted. All right, so he gets the horse. And he knows that the memory that he has is a real one now. And now the question is, was he actually that boy?
Is it his memory, or is it an implanted memory?
Yeah. And so he kind of starts this belief that, hey, this could be me, and I could be this child.
My age fits, everything fits, things are starting to kind of point that way. And this is where I need to interject a little bit.
Yeah.
Because there were some things happening that put some holes in this. Okay? Because if he's an absolute 100% replicant, right? Programmed and everything. Replicants do not lie. They do not lie to their officers, right? Because Love tells us that later. Because, he's such a good boy. He's going to tell you everything because we don't lie.
Yeah.
We cannot tell a lie. But the interesting thing is when he first comes back from the second trip to the tree and he sees the inscription, he tells her about the inscription. And she's like, "What is this? What is 6/10/21 mean?" And he's like, "I don't really know. I'm not sure. It doesn't have any relevance on anything."
Well, he doesn't know though. He doesn't.
But he doesn't tell her about his connection to it. He purposefully leaves that out.
Well, so and I think there's a difference between
omission and outright lying.
Yeah.
Because she didn't ask him directly.
And he does mention it. He goes, it was a horse with an inscription on the bottom. She never asks what that inscription is, and so he doesn't have to lie. He told her there's an inscription on it. So
that is right.
Yeah.
That is right. And I was waiting for her, to go, so what was the inscription on the bottom of the horse?
Nope.
She didn't say anything. I was like, say it. Come on, ask him.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Okay.
All right, moving on.
Okay, so from there, he already has this knowledge of Deckard. No one knows where he is. Gaff tells him that he's retired. And in this world, retired means that he's dead.
Yeah.
If he's a replicant, retired means he's dead, right?
Right.
But he could actually just be retired.
Be a retired officer. Gaff. Oh my God, Gaff.
Freaking Gaff. Okay, so this was interesting. Deckard's out in Las Vegas. I thought that was really cool.
I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. And I don't think they ever actually say Las Vegas.
No, they don't. But I mean...
But you see the Luxor, you see...
Well, the first thing that gives you an idea is this whole thing takes place in California.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So when Ryan Gosling goes out to find Deckard and Love is looking for him and she goes to the lieutenant and ends up confronting the lieutenant and, spoiler, kills the lieutenant and then checks, where is, she actually looks up where he is, and you see on the map from California, from Los Angeles, you see it do that diagonal boop.
Yeah, and we know
up on the thing. We're like, anybody who lives in Las Vegas, we know exactly how much distance that is and what that direction is like. And I was like, that's Las Vegas.
That looks like Las Vegas.
And then sure enough, there's not a whole lot of landmarks, but then it gets into the casinos, and then Deckard says, this used to be a fun place. You could catch a show, do some gambling.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. But I thought that was really neat.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that sucks for us, though, because no one lives in Las Vegas anymore
because
in 2049.
It looks like, a dirty bomb or something went off in the area because it was radioactive.
Yeah.
But what he finds out before he goes to Las Vegas, so he visits Gaff. He doesn't get any information except some cryptic bullshit that drives us all nuts. So then he's like, okay, now I know this memory's real, but I don't know if it's mine or if it was implanted and it's somebody else's.
Yes.
So then he goes, okay, who does all the memories for the replicants? And he goes and he visits this research place, and he ends up visiting Dr. Anna Stelline, played by Carla Jury. So he meets this lady, and she's kind of in this isolation room because she has some kind of genetic disorder, which, if anybody pays attention while they're watching the movie, gives you a clue as to who she is.
Yes.
Because that genetic disorder comes up earlier when he's looking at the records for the orphans.
Yes. The record states that the girl
died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the boy disappeared because of a genetic disorder. So then you go to this place, and I really like that idea because you never really know how these memories come about. In the original Blade Runner, it's like, oh yeah, those were Tyrell's niece's memories.
Yeah.
So back then they did use real memories, or at least for her they used real memories. Whereas now it's illegal to use real memories, and they're all fabricated. They're all made up, and that's what her job is, to make memories for replicants. And you kind of see how she does it. And I thought that was just a really cool scene. It was like painting a picture.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, and she even states it's an art form. Like every artist has their little things that make their work theirs, and apparently she's like the best memory maker there is. And he's kind of asking her, how all of that works, and that brings them to, can you look at this memory?
Right.
And so
she sits him down. She puts him in this whatever machine, and then she's like, okay, just think about this memory. You don't have to think hard. Just kind of like pop it into your head, and I'll be able to view it. And she starts to watch this memory. And the interesting thing I like, because before that, when she's kind of discussing, and she's making this whole kind of birthday cake scene with children, and she's discussing kind of the nuances of making memories, and she says, a lot of people think it's about the details, and the more detailed it is, the more believable it is. And she's like, what I've discovered is that people remember things because certain memories trigger emotions, and they're tied together.
Yeah.
One thing is tied to another.
Yes.
You're always going to remember the specific time because you remember how you felt at that time, because it was a very powerful emotion.
Yes.
So that's how she kind of like,
that's how she works.
Things. That's how she works. So then she starts watching this memory from Agent K, and we know what the memory is, right? And we can they kind of sort of, give you this outline of the sounds, and you can sort of in your mind, you can follow it, the running of the kids and the hiding of the horse and all this other stuff. And then she starts to get extremely emotional and starts to cry, and this affects her profoundly.
Yeah.
And then she admits, and she goes, yeah, this is a real memory.
How could she know? Because even he asks, how do you know? How can you tell a fake memory from a real memory? And I don't even think she gives a real answer.
She does, because that's where she explains the emotions.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the question. Hey, is this a real memory? She's like, yeah, this is a real memory.
Yeah.
And you just kind of believe it because she's an expert on this sort of thing. But there's also a question is,
whose memory is it?
Whose memory is it,
right?
Right?
Because she tells you just a couple of minutes before it's illegal to use real memories.
Mm-hmm. So I
love how they put this scene together, where it continually pushes you towards Agent K coming to this kind of realization of, hey, I might be a real boy.
Yeah.
This is a whole Pinocchio story.
Yeah.
I'm a real boy. Which is funny because Joy, his companion, keeps saying, "You're a real boy."
Yeah.
And starts calling him Joe. But they craft this scene based upon this memory. Mm-hmm. And there's all these little details that you can either pick up on or you can't pick up on it. But it makes sense. But at the same time, two questions don't get answered. And I was kind of interested in wondering why this kind of got glossed over, because she views the memory She reacts to it. She confirms to him, yeah, this is a real memory. And he just kind of like loses his shit and walks out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, okay, you've never once in this entire movie up to that point shown us an emotional response like that.
Yeah.
You know, you haven't reacted. You've been cold. You've been calculating. You've been calm.
Yeah.
Even when you got your ass, shot out of the sky and you're surrounded by these people in the junkyard on the way to the orphanage.
Yeah.
You were calm and you were just like, yeah, okay, whatever. I got shot down from the sky. Ho hum. Let me get out of the car.
So
ho hum. Let me kick 5 people's ass and shoot 3 others. Ho hum.
Yeah.
Okay. But then you find out that this memory is real, and you blow up and storm off. And I was kind of like, wait, you didn't ask her. Where'd it come from? Whose is it, and where did it come from? Because you made it.
Yeah.
Because you made my memories. Because I'm a replicant. And I was programmed with these memories. So why did you put this in me?
But does she makes the memories, but does she choose the people? That's the thing. Does she choose where it goes? Or is she assigned, hey, make a memory for this new replicant? Kind of, these are the baselines.
Well,
create
that's true.
And then just ship it off, and you don't know.
Right.
So I think from there, he thought, or maybe he already knows, but it's never really said, that she creates them.
And they just go in a database,
and they just kind of
they're there for download.
And so she doesn't know any further information. I think maybe that's where his thinking was coming from, because...
That makes sense.
If she had any idea, I think he would have asked.
You're shooting down all my theories. Thank you.
That's my job here.
Duck hunt.
That's my job. I think he already knew, this is your job, but you're not responsible for where these memories go.
Right.
And you kind of just make the memory, and then that's it. He goes off, storms off. And then he goes and takes that test again, where he's all shooken up.
He's completely off his guard.
Yeah. And they're like, okay,
you're done.
You're done. Give me your badge. Give me your gun. And they knew something was wrong. They knew something was up. But they let him go. But he knew that they would be coming after him. Is that correct?
Now, would that make sense?
I don't. I was like, wait, who's coming after him though?
Yeah.
If they're coming after him, why did
they
let? Or maybe it's just.
It's like, hey, we got a robot that's malfunctioning. Let's let it go home and cool off for 48 hours, and then maybe it's gonna fix itself.
Well, actually, no. I think I remember his boss saying, "You're completely off baseline. Give me your gun. Give me your badge. I'm gonna let you go home. I'm not gonna let anyone else know."
Yeah, she said, I can get you out of here alive.
Yeah,
but you got 48 hours.
Yeah,
yeah.
But exactly. Like, I'll buy you some time, but as soon as this gets out to all the other people in the precinct that you are completely off baseline, they are gonna come for you. I don't know if they're gonna just retire him, because I don't know if you can get him back on track, but they're gonna come for him.
Now, why do you suppose she did that? Because she has an emotional connection to him?
Probably, because she even states, you're unlike any other replicant that I've worked with. And I think...
When she was in that apartment, she wanted to finish that bottle of alcohol, and she wanted to do a little...
I don't know if I got that. I don't know if...
That's kind of what I took from it, because she's kind of like... She's sitting there, and she's casual. She's not in any professional capacity. She's just kind of casually sitting there. She's got the drink. She's asking him personal questions. She's trying to make this she's trying to make a connection, and then she throws it out there. She's like, so like, what if I finish this bottle, And then he's just like, I don't, you're not doing it for me. And she catches that, and she's like, and then she instantly turns cold.
Yeah.
Gets up and leaves because she got
Maybe
shunned.
I missed that. I think I missed that. But
yeah. But she definitely wanted to kind of hang out there and.
I see.
She wanted a little Agent K.
She wanted a little of the goose. But from there, after he leaves, he realizes that he needs to go and find Deckard for some answers, some further answers.
So he follows some clues, figures out kind of the area of where he's coming from, and then he heads out to Vegas.
Yes.
And finds Deckard, which...
So that scene where we first get reintroduced to Deckard, he just comes up full aggressive, just full, fight mode. And there's all these booby traps around the casino where he's staying. And at one point, he just starts pounding Ryan Gosling. And it's just Ryan Gosling's like, look, I don't want to fight you. Yeah. I'm not trying to hurt you. I just want to ask you some questions. And he's just throwing all these punches, and he's just taking them. It's like, he's going to get tired.
I'm going to let you punch yourself out, and when you're done...
we can have a conversation.
We can have a conversation, which happens. But, the interesting thing is, he didn't come right out and go, I think you're my dad. I've been searching for you. He just starts asking these kind of questions, and even Deckard is very vague with the answers.
Yeah, we kind of get this one-on-one with them, and there are some questions raised, maybe not all of them answered, but Deckard, he is very vague, just like we like. We love vagueness. What are your thoughts on that whole scene?
The scene didn't really play into much. Not much information kind of came out.
Yeah.
It didn't answer any of the questions for Ryan Gosling. You get this understanding that, they knew what was happening. Rachel and Deckard knew what was happening, that she was pregnant. They knew the consequences of that. They knew they would be hunted. They knew that this child would change everything. So, they put plans into motion. I thought the interesting thing is that part of that plan was that he was completely out of the picture. He didn't even know the gender of the child.
Yeah.
He hasn't even seen the child. He was just gone. He sacrificed all that. Which I think, you going into this confrontation between Agent K and Deckard going, okay, he's got to know at one point or another that his son, and that's what you're thinking, that his son's going to come and be like, hey, you're my dad, kind of a thing. But you don't get any of that from him. He's just like, I've been doing this. I need to keep doing this. You're asking questions that you don't know shit about, and I'm not going to tell you anything.
Yeah.
And then everything just goes to shit. Love comes in, blows everything up, takes Deckard, leaves Gosling, which I thought was interesting.
Well, I thought that was interesting, but also, I don't know, did she not take him or not kill him because he's a replicant? Because in the first movie, there's this whole thing that replicants don't kill replicants. They have that kind of understanding. They are against this entire world. Who wants to kill them? So why would they kill each other? And I don't know if that really carried over. Is that a reason why Love left Ryan Gosling? I'm not really sure. Even though Ryan Gosling's his whole job is to kill replicants.
I don't think that played into it, because there's instances where that doesn't even come in play later.
She'll kill humans. She definitely does kill humans. She killed that one guy at the precinct when she's getting the bones.
And then she killed the lieutenant.
Yeah.
But
that's the same thing with the old Blade Runners. They will kill humans left and right, but they don't kill each other. But
she does later. She kills another replicant later.
Yeah.
And then she tries to kill Ryan Gosling. We'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
But it was sad that, because at this point, Joy, his companion, got pretty much downloaded into this mobile thing, and then she ends up getting crushed, which was sad because she knew what was going to happen, and she made that final lunge to say, I love you to Agent K, which I thought, I was like, that was cool.
Yeah.
It was unnecessary, and you knew as soon as he downloaded that program that she was going to get smashed.
Yeah.
That was just kind of blaringly evident. But I understand, the plot line kind of went that way. It didn't make sense for me as her character and everything she'd done up to that point to leave Kay alive. But,
Yeah.
he gets left alive.
It's really just to, push
push the story along.
Yeah.
You know, and then he gets picked up from. Originally I thought like the precinct was coming back to clean up,
Yeah.
and you just see him get swooped up, taken away, and then he wakes up and he's surrounded by all these other people, and he's like, I don't know what's going on. And the girl that he had relations with earlier that Joy superimposed herself on is there.
Yeah, and then we got introduced to her early on, and you get the idea that she's, you know, a prostitute, and she kind of urges that to Ryan Gosling. He, you know, shoves him away because she's a real girl, you know, and he doesn't like real girls. And then the whole scene happens with Joy where she brings him her in, and yeah, when she leaves, you don't really think anything of it, you know, but when she comes and picks him up, there are some questions raised, like, who are these people? Is she a real person? Because everyone else in this kind of army or this group that picked him up, they're all replicants.
I think she's a replicant.
That's what I think too.
I think either she's a replicant or she's a sympathizer, but I think she's pretty much a replicant.
Yeah.
So then we meet this other lady who's part of this whole conspiracy and cover up that Deckard had put in to play with Rachel, and she knows who the child is. She knows, you know, where she is, and then she says, and then she says to, you know, Agent K, and when the time is right, I will introduce her to the world. And he's like, wait, what? Her?
Yeah.
What do you mean her? And she's like, yes, her.
The baby was a girl. Yeah. I was there. I delivered.
Did you think that it was you? Oh, you poor boy. You thought it was you. And then you're just going, wait, what? What's going on, you know?
But the girl died.
But then, you know, everything clues in. You know, Deckard switched and scrambled the records and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I was like, okay, cool. You know, that makes sense. And then immediately I knew exactly who it was. I was silently, I was hoping, because, you know, it showed those two records, even though they are identical DNA records, which can't exist. I was kind of like, maybe there's a boy and a girl.
Yeah, like maybe.
But then the lady who was there and present for the birth would have known that there was two. But
yeah,
I was kind of like, man, maybe.
Yeah, maybe,
just maybe. But yeah, poor Kate. So that leads us into probably the most frustrating scene of the movie. Okay, right? So we have we have Jay Leto's character, and he has Deckard.
Yeah.
And Deckard's sitting there, and Leto comes up, and he's talking to him, and he's asking him, you know, and he wants this secret. He wants the technology that Tyrell had at the end of his era, that he knew how to create replicants that could procreate.
Yeah.
And that was his last gift. That was his last breakthrough.
Yeah.
That he, you know, mastered that whole science of procreation. And he's talking to Deckard, and he's teasing Deckard, and at this point, you still don't know if Deckard's a human, if Deckard's a replicant.
Oh my god. This line that he says.
And then he goes, and he plays the recording. He plays the entire recording of Deckard and Rachel when they first met.
Mm-hmm.
You know, of the owl. And, you know, do you like it? Oh, yeah. Well, it must be expensive. And he's like, so interesting that you were both pre-programmed to meet in such a way.
You were designed.
And you were designed to fall in love in such a way. Or maybe you weren't.
Yeah, he goes...
And I was like, wait, come on,
so
dude.
He says the line that's like, you know, maybe you were designed to meet in that moment. And then you're like, oh my god, he's a replicant. I've waited all this time to find out. And then he goes, that is, if you were designed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ugh.
I was just kind of like, you bastard. Seriously, like, just either put up or shut up, you know? And then Deckard's sitting there with a little bit of snivel, you know, like almost a tear. I know what was real. I know what's real and what's not real. And, you know, you're looking at Leto and he's going, yeah, right, buddy. Yeah, you've been played like everyone else. And sure enough, he brings out another Rachel.
Oh, man.
Another replicant Rachel. And I'm going, you sadistic dick, you know? And I thought they did a great job. I don't know how, I don't know if they used and superimposed older footage or whatnot, but as far as having Rachel come right, walk up and come out, I was like, bam, that looks...
I think they did a good job.
Really good.
I think that they did a good job, but I just like, what are the other ones? Like Rogue One had Tarkin, had a completely CGI Tarkin.
Yeah.
This technology is really getting there, but I don't think it's quite there.
It's not quite there. Now, this was really good. It was really good.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh, she looks kind of different. And then he even says she had green eyes.
Yeah.
And then he turns away from her, and then Love just
shoots her away. Just blows her right away, and I was like going, alright, so we try one way, now we're going to try the old-fashioned way. But just that, oh my god, just that line of dialogue that you were designed to mean in that specific moment. But if you were really designed, screw you guys. Just,
please,
just
I need some answers.
Stop driving us nuts.
What really ends that scene, because all I remember afterward is she goes away with Deckard.
Yeah, I mean, Love takes Deckard away. Leto tells him, all my tools are off-world, and you'll discover what pain's all about, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So then just transition into the last scene.
I think what she was ultimately doing, maybe they were on their way to a place where they could actually go off-world, like a shuttle or something.
He was.
That.
Love was transporting Deckard to
an off-world
facility
because they can
like
do
a launch or whatever kind of shuttle kind of thing.
Because the idea is he's going to be tortured or whatever off-world.
Yeah.
And they're going to find their answers, whatever. And then Agent K...
Which didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I was like, well, wouldn't you have everything there?
What tools would you have somewhere else
but maybe
that you wouldn't have on Earth?
Maybe it's things that maybe they're illegal here on Earth that they can get away with, but also, who cares?
Yeah, who cares? Wallace's pet Love is walking around killing police people.
Yeah, that's true.
So what does he really care about illegal?
Yeah, maybe that's not...
He's the big boy.
Maybe it's just the tools, but really, what tools do you need to do this? Whatever. Pushing the movie forward. And then we have that final confrontation between Agent K and Love. Harrison Ford is just handcuffed,
sitting there like a child,
just struggling to breathe.
Just chilling there. It's like, I'm just handcuffed, just gulping air.
That scene, of course, I mean, beautiful scene. The cinematography, the rain,
the waves, the crashing,
the score, everything just comes to a head. And I mean, Ryan Gosling again gets his butt handed to him multiple times. He gets shot, he gets stabbed, and I mean, with these fight scenes, there aren't a lot, but what we have,
they're extremely intense.
They're intense, and they're great. Yeah, you really feel the consequences that are at stake.
Right.
Like, what's about to happen. Like, the violence, the action, they're very few and far between, but what you have, it's brutal, and it's real, and it's meaningful,
So, maybe because, for me, this whole movie is about artistic expression, and it's about these visuals and these clues and these little nuances here and there. Now, I saw this. I don't know if you saw this. Now, part of the dialogue between Love and Wallace, Jared Leto, he consistently and constantly talks about angels.
Yes.
Right? And the light of angels and angels of death and angels of life and blah, 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 right? So now you have this final scene, right? She thinks that she's dispatched Kay, and she goes back to get Deckard because, this is her final thing. And then Deckard just kind of shows up, kind of overpowers her, First,
Agent K.
Agent K, yeah. Sorry. Agent K overpowers her, lifts her up, and then he pushes her down and she's drowning under the water.
Mm-hmm.
But the visual of her, as she's drowning, she's looking up through the water and she sees K, but it's distorted.
Yeah.
And the way the lights are behind K, it looks like two angel wings.
Ah. I did not see
and
that.
That's it, and it keeps going to her face and her looking up, and his visual of this distorted, watery image of a being dispatching her, and these lights coming off his shoulders, which I was like, it looks like an angel.
Dang.
I could be like way reading into this too much,
but ultimately,
it makes sense that all these kind of things and all these things of angels and this talk.
I believe,
she's looking up and that's
not an accident.
I was like that's you can go either way with that, which is everything with this movie.
Yeah.
Maybe it could, maybe it couldn't. Everybody got an opinion. Yeah, big F you to that. Just tell us straight out. It's going to be another 30 years of,
we'll have
is
to wait.
he or isn't he an angel? I'm not sure. But basically, that brings the whole thing to a head, and, Kay takes Deckard to go meet his daughter, and then he has his quiet moment on the stairs in the snow.
Now, did he die?
Oh.
Because you see him and he kind of lays back, and you're really feeling for him because he's like, I'm not the child. He's kind of, I think, going through his head, I'm not the child, but I brought Deckard to the child, and they're having that moment.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of at peace with that, I think. And
well, he had, when he had met that lady that had helped with the plot, and she gave him that spiel of, to die for a cause that's greater than ourselves is the most human thing that we can do.
Yeah.
And he kind of made that decision.
Yeah.
He's like, I know now that I'm not the child, that I am a replicant, but I'm invested in this. This is the right thing to do. I'm going to go save Deckard. I'm going to deliver him to his daughter. So he goes through everything that he needs to go through, and he gets his ass handed to him.
Yeah.
And then at the end of everything, he's sitting on the steps, and he just kind of chills back.
Kind of lays back.
Enjoys the snow.
Yeah. Just lays back in the snow, and it's a very long, lingering shot of him, and he's kind of, you see this expression in his eyes, and then it just goes blank. Which, he's a replicant, and you've seen him do that on a multitude of times before. He could just be kind of stagnant and just, he's just chilling. He doesn't need to express anything. But also, maybe he's dead.
Yeah.
So you don't actually get an answer, but maybe he's dead, maybe he's...
I feel like it's going to be a John Wick ending, the first John Wick, where he just kind of collapses he gets out of the car, he collapses, he's all screwed up, he's looking at his last memory on his phone, and you think, okay, yeah, this guy's dead.
Yeah. It's...
And then 2 seconds later, he's like, nah, I got more shit to do.
No, I mean, I don't think they had anything after the credits. I think this movie prides itself in the way it's structured and where you don't need anything at the end.
Yeah, no, there's
yeah.
If there is, I would be disappointed.
Yeah.
This is a Marvel flick.
This doesn't.
This is no continuation of we need to kind of introduce
the
Infinity Gauntlet or any of that craziness.
Yeah.
When the credits hit, that was it. That was done.
Yeah.
Now,
the last scene. It's just him seeing his daughter, and there's no words. It's a Force Awakens ending, right? So there's no words. They just kind of meet, and there's no words, and then it ends. And you know that they're together, but what else is going to happen?
Right.
Because there's the question of, is there some kind of uprising coming? Because you see that lady who had delivered the baby, and she has this kind of plan to kind of present this trial to the world, and it's going to cause just this whole
Anarchy,
thing. This,
yeah. It's just
this
going to turn
revolution.
everything upside down. Now, given everything, I'm fine if that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need another movie. I don't need to know that story.
Okay.
You know, I'm cool if that's it right there.
Okay.
Like that was perfect. That was enough for me. You know, there's still the frustrating questions that never got answered, which is going to be, you know, the next 30 years of conjecture, which is cool. You know, kudos, ta-da, you know, take a bow, guys. That was a fantastic job. I almost hope that they don't do another one. Because I really don't think
there's a story
they can do
to be
it.
told, but the only way to do it, you'd have to bring everyone back, because this movie was perfect. It was like perfect continuation, I think.
Mm-hmm.
If this gets handed to any other director, if it goes back to Ridley Scott, I think it's going to go down. I think no.
I don't think you can do it.
No.
You know, the original Blade Runner was a complete masterpiece back in
82.
82.
Mm-hmm.
They did a phenomenal job with this one.
Just leave it.
Leave it alone. Leave it alone. You know, you only get so many holes in one.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And you only get so many sequels that are on par with the original.
Right, yeah.
So do not mess this up. Leave it where it is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the only way I would be okay with a continuation is if everybody came back. All the movie producers, all the filmmakers, cast. I think that's the only way that I would watch it. If it got handed to anybody else, or if it went on to a different story, I'd be like, no, I don't know. See, I'm torn.
I'm just like, leave it.
Yeah.
Just leave it.
If
you do anything, if you have a bug up your ass about getting this done, then do it smart. Do shorts.
Yeah, so that's what I was kind of thinking.
You know,
I had so much fun with this movie, and I had so much fun with the prequel shorts. Like that anime, just make an anime. Just make a Blade Runner anime. Like yeah.
Because Harrison Ford isn't getting any younger.
Yeah, no, his clock is ticking.
Yeah, you know, and he did a great job in this, but you know, getting him to sign up and do another, you know, if you did it, it's going to be a 5-year project. You know.
Yeah, that's not guaranteed.
That's not guaranteed. You know, so if you got a bug up your ass and you need to finish the movie, do an anime or do a short, but an anime would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Use the same art style, the same, you know, type of animation and direction. That would be phenomenal. That's how you finish it up.
Yeah.
You know.
But would people be mad about that?
Who cares?
I guess.
Who cares? You know, protect the integrity of your work.
Yeah. I understand that.
Don't let the money grubbing producers and the companies go, oh, we need to finish this up, and we have a potential to make some money here.
Well, that's
and I'd have been yeah, you know what? This is my creative license. Jump on this and spin.
Yeah.
You know?
So, and I think that brings us to one thing. This kind of not breaking news, but this kind of new information that Blade Runner is not doing very well at the box office right now. That it's kind of a flop. Not really, but it's not making as much as, you know, your typical Hollywood blockbusters would. And again, I could find parallels with the original Blade Runner because, of course, back then it wasn't this huge box office, you know, success. Right. And it was only this cult following that really made it to what it is.
Well, it's a targeted audience.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people they're kind of iffy on the sci-fi, on any kind of sci-fi.
True.
Now, if you throw a trailer out there and it's explosions and it's CGI and robots or this and monsters and key actors and blah, blah, blah. Hey, this looks like a fun weekend movie to go and enjoy. I don't need to know anything about it. I could just go in there and go, oh yeah,
Yeah.
action, adventure, blah, 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 blah. I can go see that.
Yeah.
Now, you throw a movie like this where even the trailers are going, yeah, man, I might actually have to rub two of my brain cells together while I sit through this movie. I'm not up to that.
Yeah, this isn't a movie where you can just get some popcorn, get some candy, and just turn your mind off.
Which gives us so much pride in our society at this point.
Yeah.
This is the state of humankind. A masterpiece movie like this flops.
Yeah.
And we'll have something stupid, some comedy that'll just blow, it's like really people.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? A lot of the best movies, a lot of my favorite movies, they're not box office successes. And this movie, I don't think it had a huge budget, and we have huge stars in it. But ultimately, this is, I don't know if they really expected it to do huge numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. I can't say that they expected that, but I can honestly say that, and the critics, I appreciate the critics, because they recognize it for what it is. Yeah. And that's what I like. That's what I'm happy about. The money, I think only really the movie companies will be disappointed. But Denis Villeneuve, Roger Deakins, all the filmmakers, Ridley Scott, I think they're all 100% satisfied with how this came out.
If I was one of them, I would be like, I don't care if it doesn't make a dime.
Yeah.
This is exactly the way it needed to be done, and I am absolutely proud of this.
Yeah. And
this is probably one of the biggest feathers in my cap.
Yeah. So that's about it.
So I go see it, enjoy it. At this point, if you're listening to all the spoiler parts, you've probably already seen it.
I hope you did.
I hope you did, or else we just told you the whole movie, and have some fun with it.
But even if you haven't seen it, go see it, because the story is one thing, but the visuals and the sound, it's an experience you need to live through. This is
what cinema is about. This is, and we're seeing something nowadays that's dying. Cinema is dying. Watching things in a IMAX experience or even in a theater experience is starting to die because of the digital age and streaming, and everybody wants everything at their fingertips now. But this, you cannot appreciate it in any other format than a big screen with the big sound and sitting in the middle of the theater with everything surrounding you and just crushing your sensitivities and all of your senses, and just everything's just getting fired up.
I think if you are the kind of person that's kind of gonna go, I'm gonna skip this one, I'll wait for it to come out on streaming, on digital,
I'll pick it up at Redbox.
No.
If
you go to the movies twice a year, this should be one of those movies.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's worth the price of IMAX.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm gonna see it again, and I will see it in IMAX because I don't even want to know what it's like in a regular theater. Like, I just need that experience again. Oh my gosh, the sound design, I can't say it enough.
Can you imagine just watching it on a phone?
Oh no!
I'd rather just rub feces in my eyes. I'll take the pink eye for the week. I
don't know about that.
I just not gonna do it.
But anything less than this, it doesn't do it justice. Yeah.
So for me, best movie this year by far.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this is the best movie I've seen. Of 2017. Hands down. Like, I walked out of there just completely mind blown and completely satisfied with what I just saw. All
right, so I think that pretty much that wraps up.
Yep.
Blade Runner 2049 in theaters, in IMAX. Go see it, enjoy it, have fun with it, appreciate it.
Yeah. And then let us know. Let us know what you guys think. Of course, you guys can email us at postproductionpod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Of course, we're also on Twitter, Instagram, hit us up. Let us know what you guys think, and maybe we can answer some of your questions.
Yeah.
And if we missed anything, please tell us.
Tell us if you agree. Tell us if you disagree. Let's have some conversations. Everyone's entitled and everyone